Today I will show you some general features, and for the ones who are using this at the regular basis, it's also great, and I think my work will be done here. So I will show you some general features, or for general features for the ones who were using this, but not now. So you can add some new bases. This is the list of bases that are supported by us. There are analytical databases, and we will speak about Postgres and about Sokila today. We've also added groups. You can group them in Dataforce and put them into the folders, and you can mark in the settings with some colors. You can choose the color here in the bar menu, like the red. It can be useful if you want to distinguish test bases from production and to avoid some mistakes in the operation. So the first issue was that we did not have much possibilities to show you our presentation because there's too much light here. I will switch to another scheme, to the black one. If it's better or not. This presentation is better. So who's for the black one? For the dark one. So we will switch to the white scheme. I'll switch back. By the way, it's funny that I'm writing something in Russian and the system configures to the English. So this is the democracy feature of our today's meeting. So I will get rid of the color, and let's create the first query. We have a concept live templates. So live templates, like just the pieces of code that are often used by you. It's like the way of CommonJ, and you see a list of templates. Some of the templates were made by me, some were pre-installed, and now we can choose from the list of templates. My query is not working. That means that such touchpad is not installed, and if it is made as a default setting, it will start by itself. What shall be done with the templates? You can not choose CommonJ to see the list. You can just write the abbreviations that are marked from the left side. You can use SEL tab and you will see the live template and you can insert it into your code. If you want to create templates by yourself, you go to the settings, live template, go to the SQL sections, and here you see templates. Yeah, you can see it here, space holder between tables with the conditions, and you can insert the condition here, and then you can edit them. Great. So the autofilling is not automatically, not every time. You can choose also manual mode for the joins. We wrote joins 2 versions ago. If you have some keys in your table, the keys may help you to write down the join, and you will just tap on enter, and this is the query that has a great velocity. Speaking about autofilling, if you want to add table film category, and this is the first table that is installed here, this is often used, you will write down film, and there are many objects that you won't need. And it's great if you use some abbreviations. The film category is the needed category that you can find by use of abbreviations. It happens in the MySQL server. So please ask for help from abbreviations every time you need to add something. This is the tool that you will need. We can also choose the action of duplicate string if you want to duplicate or add a string. It's not a great way to write down the strings by your hands. So what can we also do with this query? We can open the star here, the expand column, and all columns are expanded, all columns that are integrated into our query. So Alt Enter is the key that helps us to make the code better. You just can tap on it and take a look at what the system will suggest. Just put Enter and everything is ready. So here in the code you can see the clashes that are tapped. So this is not the default setting, it's a plugin that was created for the presentations. So, and now I want to show you something about the plugins. We will go to the Presentation Assistant plugin. There are two more plugins: integration with Git, support of our languages, and there you can see the ecosystem of the plugins. And if you need some additional plugins, you can take a look into the system of plugins or write your own plugins if you want to. So getting back to our expanded columns, so you can see the list of columns. The conflicts are qualified by alias, and we can install the qualification as the default basis. You just choose some strings, some columns, put Alt Enter and qualify with the alias, with the corresponding alias, like F. If we think that it's a silly name, we can expand the name here in the whole script. But I think F is a great alias. So I will leave it. What's next? So we can delete some columns to make our picture more accurate. So, great. Now, how can we choose a part of the code? So I'm also greeting the guests. I think the pies were the best here during the little pause that you had after the first lecture. So how can we choose the part of the code? We can use the mouse, but it's not so great way. But we can choose them on the basis of syntax alt-var with the table with alias, and I can use a joiner and by the combination of alt down. So if I want to write a subquery, I can choose the whole query and make a surround with action, like a folding tag or something else. So I just choose font expression, introduce live template, and everything is ready. So it's not the beautiful code, the code is yellow now. What does it mean? The system understands that the query won't do. Why? Because we need a less. So we can tap Alt Enter and make this code a bit better. It's not the best alias. I want A1, and you can see that our query can be started. So here we've created some order in the query. That means we can go on further. What else? Let's write down another query. Little one and a stupid one. If we have a certain number of queries, we tap execute the query, and the system doesn't understand what query should be executed as the first one. I execute two queries, and then in the end I receive two results set tests. That means that the system thinks instead of you. We can choose this and execute in console the three actions. These are independent actions. Like you can assign the question for execute one, like I have done. So whether this is a small one or the big one. So the whole script. And the second execute action is assigned to the other shortcut, shift command, and I want to execute all the whole script. I don't use the third one. It's okay for me to use only two of them. I choose command enter. I can choose here, and the script is performed, executed. Live template explain JSON is created. If we execute explain JSON, you can see that there are two suggestions, either small or big query, and we can highlight the query inside of the code. So now we will execute this JSON, highlight it, and see great maximized code, and you can see and evaluate what happens here. I will delete this part of the strings, format, and execute two queries. So let's add order bind, the completion on abbreviation. It could be very useful. The AI completed actor ID, so 2 or 3 digits can help me to understand and to classify the actions. Here I will add distinct. Why do I need it? Because if we have two result sets, we can compare with each other. It's a very useful feature, and this differ shows that some strings are present only in the left part and some only in the right part, and there are also some strings present in both parts. So what else? If you need to rapidly understand what will the query provide you, you can choose this table and understand what's inside of the query. And here you get the numbers of the column taken from one certain query. Alt plus click is what helps you to rapidly receive the information from the query, not to for you not to make this query out of console. So, local history. Each console has its own local history. It fills the log of all changes of all files in your system. It's not the version control. So, if you understand that 3 hours ago I wrote some query that was very interesting for me, and I can take a look at the information that was changed in the story, in the history. I can revert this information, and this was not the working, not the operating type, and we need to introduce some changes here, and then it will work. So let us speak about the results. So we have a result set here. It's just the same thing as you are looking for the data in the table. How to look at the data? You can just click on the table, but it can be also useful to take a look at the data in the DataGrip. Flash F4, go to source F4, and you can see the data of the table, like the table from film category, film 4, and everything is ready. I want to speak about the information about the objects. It's like the quick doc F1. You see the DDL of the table in the pop-up window. If you dock this pop-up window, and by the way, you can also put it here in the right part of the window, and you can use this feature of auto-update the source, and it will be refreshed every time when you paste something did not work actually, but it should be refreshed. So this is the bug that I will mention in my report. So this feature should show you the actual information about your object from the queries. Now I want to speak about the grid that allows you to edit your data. What can it make? It can sort the columns. It's obvious, and you can search for the data by Ctrl F, like enter the max, and you will see all the max in the one end row. Now I will see only the strings. So the main feature here is edit. That means you can edit all the data. I can change the names like the John, enter and alter the names. This is also auto-fulfillment for the data that are stored in the column. I can Google for Joanna, for Carla. I can change the Carla's name to Max. I can make also this feature for several columns, but it's not so needed. If you want to change the name of all the guys, you can change it. We can also convert data. That means if you need to take timestamps and make a copy of them into the string, you can also make this. You can delete strings. You can add strings here. So like the command enter, submit, it's highlighted in the lines. So if I choose commit, I cannot delete it right now. I can alter it, and this is also not needed. So I don't want to submit it. So I made only one rename, and then I submitted it. So this dropdown helps you to install the transaction. That means you will just choose a commit that will let you to save this level on in the automatic mode.
Что еще?
What else? What else can we do? In fact, we can use keys here, like common keys. If I have more than keys in my database, I can go to film actor table, and I see actor ID number 2, and I see all the movies that this actor starred is, and then I will see the name of the movies that correspond. I can do it in a different way. If I go to command down and film actor, I will see all the actors that played in this movie, including our actor number 2, but I want to see that actor number 2 played with actor number 3, and then we will see the corresponding compilation. So if you have these compilations and these connections in the database, you can use it. What else do we have in this toolbar? Here's paging. By default, well, I don't remember exactly, but we show some number of entries per page, and you can select the number of entries you need to be shown. You can set page size, say, well, here it's 200, I can put 500 or 1000. If I can even opt to show all the data at all times, but it doesn't work with big tables, so select the number you're comfortable with. It works by page, not throughout the whole set of data. You can look through it by pages or put here and it will download the whole set of data. You can compare a set of tables or two tables, run them in parallel, or compare them with the specific source of data. You can perform transpose. Sometimes it is useful and convenient to rotate the table. And then you will get a CSV file, or opt for another view, Control 12. You will get a structure view, and here you will end up with having only one column. Very often users tell me that, well, I somehow hid all the columns, how can we show them back? Well, you can hit the space. How did he do that? This user actually pressed hide column. And then boom, if you don't know how to bring them back, you will be lost. Maybe it is not very convenient, but well, this is as it is right now. the query that we've just run, very often actually people ask me, I've changed something in the local subtable, but how it will be reflected. In our next version, in fact, we are going to complete this part related to the log of queries. They all will be logged, and you will be sure that all the queries are saved actually. DDL, you have a tag for data here, and the most interesting part of this table editor is the Dropdown. This is basically an extractor. It enables you to export the data to somewhere. There are two options: to file and to clipboard. To file, I'm sending the data to a specific file, and to clipboard, it will be copied to the buffer. Export to database. I can take this table and enter it into a different database, say. And here I see the options. Let's map column in this way. This is the type of column we are going to have in the new database. And we are trying to select the type that will work further on. And our task is create the correct DLL for this table. Of course, we can play with two Postgres sources of data, and it will work in this way. Dropdown, let's go back to that. This is the format that you are going to use for export. The section is our internal extractors that you cannot change. Let's select SQL insert. It means that if you export it to file or to the Exchange buffer, you'll get a bunch of inserts. In fact, you need just to select a number of lines, and they will be copied to the buffer as an insert. Shift command 12. Live template is ins. Those who came later, you do not know what our live templates are, but we can write insert in this way. Command P, I see all the parameters like that, and then I enter the information I need. Another interesting thing about insert, you can use them, hit edit as table, and you will get a table where you can change the content of these cells. Say we put honey here, this is a surname, and I change it in all the inserts, and it thinks that honey is not a real surname because this field is checked by the spell checker. Another interesting and important thing about inserts, very often you have the similar queries and you need to run them through the whole table. Multi-cursor will be helpful to hit all these columns, and it looks like it is easier comparing to editing all the queries one by one. Actor ID, you can use that one. Press Ctrl F, and there is another button select over here, and says, and in this way I select all the places where this word is present in my file. AY, I hit it, and then I press enter, and everything is ready. Let's go back. Where were we? Apart from inserts, well, updates, you know them. I could show them, but in fact, they're quite self-explanatory. This is an HTML table. We can look at what we'll have as a result. Here is an HTML table. There is another section, CSV. This is another section, CSS format, and we selected these lines because we can actually create this CSV format. We select config separator, row separator, row with header, or whether it's a header or not. I even put in wiki markup here. This format is quite useful. But if we select CSV here, we press Command C, and we copy to clipboard our CSV. To do that, we create a Scratch file. This enables us to create temporary things without creating a project or creating a separate file anywhere. Scratch file actually is a very important thing. If you forgot everything that I've told you already, it's okay, but please don't forget that. Find action. Find action is a very important feature. If, for example, I do not know how to create a Scratch file, but I can go to Find Action and type in Scratch. Here are the ways that I can use to create a Scratch file. I select the language that I'm going to use. Plain text. This language does exist here. I copy CSV here from my clipboard. An interesting thing, we can actually take and copy this CSV or another CSV and copy it and then go back and think that, okay, I want to paste that in here. And now it is pasted. Probably here there was some limitations. In fact, we do not have direct import from Excel. We need to do that at some point, but unfortunately, right now the easiest way to get data from Excel to here, copy them to the clipboard to CSV, and then paste them here. So this is a CSV extractor, and I think everything is okay with it. It is clear, and we are not going to update it. Here we have a number of scripts, HTML, JSON, HTML. Some of them are already created, others were added by me. They are extractors, but they written on Groove. These are parts of code that you can actually develop yourselves. But say I select JSON here, I press Ctrl+C, I go to Scratch file. If I closed a file, the most important thing to remember is Command-E, I go back to recent file menu. I open my file and paste it here. You can see this is an extract from JSON. Every file is written on a specific language. Here I can change the language and say that, no, I want to use JSON here, and it will be highlighted here in color. And it will be easier to edit it in this way. Apart from JSON, we have insert CSV, XML. But if we go to script direct, here we have a part of scripts on Groovy, and you could go to JSON Groovy extractor and see what is going on here. If you know Groovy, you can adjust it, correct it in the way you like, and it will be working in the way you need, or you can write your own extractor or download it from the internet, or, well, whatever. If you need some tricky format for export, you can use this mechanism for that, and it will be exporting the data in the format you want. So that is it probably on extractors. Once again, you can copy the data to the clipboard, to the file. Now let's roll it back. Let's roll back to here. Yellow code, there is some bug, but now let's run it. Okay, it's completed, and we have the result set. As you see, it's the same. You have all these extractors here. You select the parts that you need. I have time till 45, right? Till 11:45. Right, so let's proceed. Let's talk about JSON. We have a language injection thing. This is a mechanism that enables us to put the highlight from another language into a line. It is sometimes convenient with SQL, sometimes it may be convenient with JSON as well. JSON value. I type it in here. What is that? This is live template, in fact, because I was preparing it for this conference. So we have a line of JSON here, but we cannot see it right away. There are several ways to insert this. If we convert it, this line into JSON, then we will know that here we have a piece of JSON. There is another type of syntax For example, we can type Titan. And here you have person. But if we take properties, then we will have properties that can be also broken down to details and highlighted. Sometimes it is not very convenient to write it in your editor, but there is another thing here, completion. We do not know where the name came from, but here it provides the auto suggestion for properties, and it is easy to work with these line literals. For example, you can use also control space to use the function of auto completion and auto suggestion here. That was about JSON. Now, now working with files. There is a panel to the right, common 1, common 2. Here we have several scripts. Very often we do store them here. There are scripts that, for example, refresh a function. If you need to run a script somewhere, you can use several options, several scenarios. Let's now take a simple function and add some stupid AND, because, well, I'm not going to be very inventive here, and I need to change this, right? I have a data source attached to this file. Here's my Aquila Postgres Docker. But if you do not have it attached, you can run attach console. But once again, I do not remember where this action is. I use find action, find function. Here, now it is attached. I select the whole part of the code, and selection I can only do that using selection function. Now I refreshed this function and it looks like it worked. Now this file is in blue. What does it mean? It means that it has been changed, but it is saved in version control. But this file has been changed. There are other queries here, for example, create table from file. This is another type of query. Another mode is to go to this menu, select Aquila, and then the table is created. How can we check it? We go to common call, enter database table procedure name. You can enter any name of any table or database. Once again, we are looking for table from file, or TFF, and here's my very simple table. It is created now. So we can either attach consoles to files or just run them for specific files. Now we can commit file. And here we see that the file has been added. I enter a comment here, push commitment, and it goes to repository. So to work with version control, you actually can use plugin. Sometimes, well, we do not think that you use this quite often, but you can use this plugin to work in your workspace. And this is the way to work with your files here. Navigation. I've already told you that there is a way to go to any object of the database. Usually this is a view. And here are the options. For example, we go to Postgres. Or we can go to files. How did I do that? Now, here it goes. And then we look at files, insert or secure delete, and I go and open this file. So this is navigation from nowhere. You want to see something and you see it. A few more words. Another important thing, if I close down everything, all the tabs, and now I'm looking for all my tabs, they are in common B in recent files. These are all the consoles and files I worked with. Here's my console, and I'm going to take a more relevant part from logon history. Here I have all the objects, and let me select something simple. For example, this one. Revert, and here are my queries. Now, what can we do here? If we select database view, then all the objects will be selected and highlighted in the tree of database. Now, Ctrl D, Command D, and here it is. It works for column as well. If you need to look at the data in the table, F4 will show you all the data, and if you click with a Ctrl pressed, you will see DDL for all the objects. This is navigation from the script directly. It is provided by the fact that we do resolve. We see all the objects that your script uses. It is important to talk about files. This console is tied to this source of data, but here we can select. We can look at select query, for example, and type in select actor. And from file we can go to DDL. And to the database, we can look what kind of table that is. How is it possible? Every file has its own language. We can change language here and use any language from Postgres, but we see that the main language is Postgres, and we need to find the corresponding table. In my case, it is possible because I use actors, but say you have a million of actors. And you can go to a map, SQL, resolution scopes, and you tell it that this folder should be resolved to this source, to this database, to this scheme. It means that every time you open this database, it will use this kind of navigation, auto-completion, auto-suggestion, and so on.
More about navigation. I told you about database. Now modified table. It's not the navigation, but still, this feature lets you to jump out of your code to edit your table, to add some columns, add them, rename them, include some indexes, and so on. There is an interesting thing here. If you change something, you can see the log of the changes, and you will see what script will be ran, will be executed. So I told you about searching code, about the now searching source code. Excuse me, it's not so easy for me to speak Russian here because English is more appropriate. So we have a routine. Get customer fields nodes in stock. So this is the kind of a function. We see a part of the code, a bit of the code. Now I close it, and I can search for the code in finding path. I insert it, and in the scope I see the places and many files are represented. Excuse me. I'll take the other one. DDL. I copy this part of code. Then I close it. Insert here. Scope. All places. And I see all the places where the code is present. And this is the way for you to understand what is used. Now I'm approaching to the end of the presentation. How not to lose your work? This is an important question. I showed you local history for 100 times, and history of all queries is another feature. It's hidden, but if you choose it, you can see all the queries. And it can be helpful. And one more, I can also insert the Shift Command V and the history of the clipboard. All bits of the code that will stay in the clipboard will be defined by you. 5 is a default, and I would rather install 10 of them. And the user parameters, you can also define your own index parameters, like you can write this type of query. I think it works like this. Yes, so you see this is a dumped query, it's not operable, but I can insert some parameter here. I can choose actor ID, insert 23, thank you, execute, and it doesn't work. It should work like this. Yes. So So you can choose your own parameters and define them in the settings, and you can execute these queries in another language, not in your current operating language. It can be defined here in this window with the parameters that will be accepted. And search everywhere is also another tool that I want to explain. You enter double shift, that means search everywhere. Now I write down user parameters, and I can search for tables, for certain parameters here. So search everywhere is a tool that helps you to find everything everywhere. So 44 minutes of my presentation are done. If you have some questions or... Thank you very much. Thank you, Maksim. When I started, there were only 5 people here. And I thought, why did I came here? So, dear ladies and gentlemen, if you have some questions, please feel free to ask them. But still, if you want to speak privately, you can go to our stand at our table and we will tell everything to you. It's not a demotivation for you. Perhaps you have a slide there with your email. I have another slide. Slide of spasibo. Thank you. Now we have a question. What about the work with normal functions? Yes, I will answer. It's not the most convenient part of the program. We're opening a local file when we write create and there is no alter. But our specialist will speak about debugger in detail. We're discussing this on our roadmaps, but still the work with functions, the migration is in process, and Alexander can add something. I want to just tell you that now we are rebuilding the workflow procedure for database operation, database management. It's on its way, so please wait for it. Thank you. But for now, we don't have it. Yes, now the system is inconvenient, and it's not so easy to apply it in the databases. So, but debugging is not the thing that we are speaking about right now. So we are planning to make it, but it's not easy. Some more questions, please? Yes, we can speak later about it. So please come to our table. We will be here for the next 3 days. And we will also make a total of 10 licenses. You can fill in the form and get your free license. We're happy if you will write to us, if you will contact us. It's the best way for us to understand whether we're making cool or uncool things. Thank you. Thank you very much.